So we'll call this meeting to order. It's 5:10, 5:07 actually.
I'll do it.
Thank
It's
you.
already,
Thank
it
you.
started, so.
Thank you. Okay. All right. This is, and we'll, I'm sure we'll be seeing Randy here momentarily. This is the special meeting to review the July 19th Zoom meeting with members of the design team and construction manager and whatnot to kind of get the phase one scope identified, scope, budget and schedule. So this is the heart of this meeting. And again, Randy did say he was gonna click in. Hi, Sarah. She's participating, okay. So do we want to just review quickly? I did get a little bit of information from Paul Roop while we wait for Randy to come in. For your information, Paul, we have, there will be a need regarding the sewer connection.
Yep.
I'll have more details after this from Paul because he's in Rangeley this week.
Yep. Okay.
Basically, what he has said is we're gonna have to file a new application for sewer service.
Okay.
That will be required by the sanitary district. There will be fees attached to that application process for inspection and location, FYI.
Okay.
The town will also need to indicate the proposed use for the building, and if for events, et cetera, they will need to know what we're planning as a number of seats maximum.
Yep, I've got all that. Yep.
Yeah, so for determining the fee to be charged for sewer service. Since the district charges by unit, the district will have to compute the number of equivalent units based on the restroom and uses. So just wanted to make sure that that's well known for the budget and for planning. All right.
And you're going to get more information on that, which you
I
can
will
share
have,
with me.
yeah, and Paul won't be there for the next meeting because that's the night, the third Tuesday of the month is when they meet. So we're gonna have to try to avoid that as much as possible for upcoming meetings. But between now and then, I will have further information from Paul that I will forward to you. Anything that I get from him, I will forward to you.
Okay, great, because I want to pass that on to the mechanical engineer on our
Yes,
side.
exactly.
So
That's what I
yeah,
figured. So
sure.
I'll send you this email and anything else I hear further from him as soon as I get them, okay?
Perfect, thank you.
Alright. So I don't see Randy as yet. Why don't you go ahead with your
Sure.
discussion and I'll see if I can reach
Okay.
out.
What I'll do is, it was in the agenda that you shared, but I just wanted to talk to everyone about our goals for the scope. So overall, our goal for this phase one is to get to a project cost of about $800,000. That's the goal. We are working on documents to basically identify what will be in, and we're going to sort of build in a few alternates. We had a great conversation with the entire design team, and Steve joined us, and I'm blanking on who else might have called in, but I felt like we had a really good plan in place for mechanical and electric systems for the building. So to that end, I'm just going to read through and talk about the scope so it's all there. For phase one, there will be demolition of all the interior partitions that will be going. So there was like a couple rooms in the hall and then some of the sort of stuff to the back. And then the upstairs, we're going to clean out for our mechanical space. And then we're also going to sort of finish the demolition in a more precise way on either end of the building, the messy bits. So, so that'll allow us to two things. One, we'll be able to see what's there. I'm sorry, was there a question? I didn't mean to talk over anyone.
No.
Oh, okay, sorry. So apologies. So be able to see what's there better, what we have to repair. Nickerson O'Day had some money in their budget for the unknown in there, but as we know more, that'll help refine that number. And then we'll be able to sort of finish cleaning up the building. So by the end of this, we'll have the exterior of the building. Our goal is it will look complete. We may have some additional things we would do in phase two, like extending of the deck and that sort of thing, or the front porch, but we wouldn't do that in phase one. There's no need to. yet. From an electrical standpoint, on the interior, well, we'll be providing a new above ground electric service that comes in at the back of the building. And the conversations with CMP have already begun between Matt Lyle, our electrical engineer, and CMP. So that's looking very positive. Like we'll be able to use what's there. I was away for the weekend. Until yesterday, there's a little barrage of emails I need to go through, but they are in conversation, which is great because we thought it would take longer for CMP to engage, and it did not.
Right.
So that was good news. The rest of electrical, we're going to provide basic switching, a new interior panel that'll be in the basement, and minimal lighting throughout the space. From a mechanical standpoint, we're going to provide a new water sewer service, which Dawn, you just had some information about the sewer.
Yeah.
So that'll be there. And what we're trying to do from a mechanical standpoint is basically install the 3 furnaces that we'd be using. And they're about, I think they're 22-inch wide units. They'd be up in the 3rd floor. They weigh about 125 pounds each. So they're relatively compact, but they would be the ultimate units that we would use for the entire building. So our goal is to not have to throw away a lot and keep most of the systems. So we'd be basically putting in all of the furnaces and then minimal ductwork, because we wouldn't need all the ductwork at this point.
Correct. Yeah.
But that will allow us to have the building be heated and not cooled yet, but heated for the winter. So therefore that will help. And that will also help with future phases if, to be able to do interior work at any time of the year. And then we're going to provide minimal heat and dehumidification in the basement. The basement's pretty musty, so we think we need to really dehumidify that, and that's not a big deal. From a structural standpoint, we will reinforce the 1st floor to meet code, and we can do that easily because we have a crawl space under the floor, so just easy there. We're going to address the roof structure regarding mechanical units. They're only 125 pounds, but we're thinking that we just want to make sure that we're either hanging them or putting them on the floor. There's a couple options there. And then we want to address the cupola restoration methods. We think we want to include the restoration of the cupola as part of this phase. It makes a lot of sense from the roofing and everything else with water tightness of the building. Obviously, we know that's an $80,000 number. So, but we are prioritizing it. John Turk and I both agree that it should be part of this phase. Plus, at the end of this phase, if we can achieve that, we'll be able to ring the bell, which I think will be a lot for the town and for everyone who's concerned. No, I agree. I think that would make sense. So, there'll be some structural issues there. And then from an architectural standpoint, we're looking at new windows, and we're looking at various types to see about lead time. But we're thinking what we're going to do is in the hall where there's double windows, we're actually going to combine those into single units. That'll be like a triple hung. So they'll be operable, but it'll keep the historic nature of the building, but it'll be fewer units, so better pricing. And we just think it'll bring more light into the building. So that's a bit of a historical change, but that's the direction we're heading. We'll put in new exterior doors at the back, and we want to refurbish the front door. Obviously a new roof for the whole building. And at this point, if you look at the face of the building, there is a single dormer on the left side and not one on the right. We think we're going to demolish the one on the left side and then just make it a flat roof, since there isn't one on the right. And I'm saying this partly because if there's any objections to this approach, we don't have to. It just means that we have the additional cost of restoring the dormer. And since we don't need them, we figured we would remove that one. And we'd also remove the 4 dormers on the back of the building. All of our mechanical is going to come out of the end walls, primarily the wall to the left, on the left side, so you wouldn't see it from the road and from the building you're in now. But that way we can just do the back roof. We can watertight, put one layer of one large piece of shingle. Sorry, what am I trying to say? We won't have any valleys or bumps where water can get into the mechanical room. Mm-hmm. So we also think will be a cost savings because of not having to do the extra windows, the extra siding, and the extra roofing. So this is probably the most controversial, potentially controversial thing other than the windows that we're doing. So again, we're not going to see these from the street. Yes, you can see the dormers if you walk around the back of the building, but we think they're adding costs that we don't need to incur, and we're trying to save that money for other places. So we can discuss this further unless you have a thoughts at this point. But those are sort of the two.
Yeah. Yeah. So does anybody here have concerns about that?
I do not.
I think it's a good idea.
I do too.
I do
agree.
too. I think cost savings and for maintenance purposes for the future.
Future
Yeah.
water, so the roof
The
with no
water
valleys or any of that.
tightness,
I
stuff to deal with
don't
back there.
believe it diminishes.
The back ones especially, the front one, some people might say that that front one on the left
But it-
was
Yeah.
always there, but I mean, but you're not, nobody's ever gonna be up there, so
Right, it's
nobody's
not-
gonna be looking out at.
It's
Yeah.
not,
And
simple, it's an
exactly.
extra cost.
Yes,
That money can be put into something
Something
else.
yep.
That's.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
still
There's a-
keeping, focusing on what the look of the.
Yeah,
exterior
Avoiding any
is.
snow buildup
That's
with the
right.
dormers.
Much,
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot more
Absolutely.
positives than
Yeah,
negatives.
I think we have, it's, it sounds to me as it makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
We're really trying to evaluate how to manage it the best we can, and I like that idea.
Okay, so we're going to proceed that way. Obviously, they haven't been demolished yet, and they won't be for a little bit. So
Right.
we can revisit this should there be someone who takes umbrage with our approach. But really, the goal is to simplify the roof structure for everything you said: ease of maintenance, water tightness, lowering cost in terms of not having to rebuild the dormers and replace the windows in them, and for nothing really, because those
Right.
windows would be into a mechanical room.
Right.
So so that's the approach. And again, so we'll proceed that way, but obviously if someone takes a real issue with it, we can revisit that, even if it's just the one on the front perhaps. But given that it's not symmetrical, I think it would look better, to be honest, either to
Right.
build another one on the other side or get rid of the one, just so that the building
Right.
will regain its initial symmetry.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Great.
So to continue the architectural work, we would also do brick repointing. As we've identified before, we would do some of the repairs to the trim work and exterior painting. We would install some sort of a pull down stair to the upper level so that we can access the mechanical room. And that's probably going to be in where the janitor's closet will end up eventually. So just so we have that. And then, which isn't a big item. And then obviously, as I said before, the restoration of the cupola, which is really tied into the roofing and to the water tightness of the building. So we want to prioritize that one. And I think that's probably, if we're lucky, that's what we can do. We've got, we've talked about some sort of safety valves, like we can always repoint the brick in the future.
Right.
Because we know the brick is actually in pretty good shape. It's the roof that we have the problems with. So, if we have to postpone the brick repointing, we can do that. We can go to only one furnace instead of three, but there really isn't a huge cost to that based on what we had. And Nickerson O'Day is going to be putting pricing to all of this. It's just we've been working to try to get documents together. And we talked about schedule at the meeting last week, which basically we're well into the design work for phase one to continue so that we can do this quickly. We are planning to have drawings for final pricing by the end of August, which is rather aggressive, but we're pushing. And that would be for the phase one stuff. That would then give Nickerson O'Day about 3 weeks or so to get a final GMP together, which can be an addendum to the contract that you already have, and then start construction by the end of September, which we believe would give them enough time to complete and get the building weather tight before we get too much snow.
Yeah, because for the brickwork, I don't think that would be necessary prior to That's not something that needs to be done. It can be done in the spring if we choose.
You,
that.
you would know this for sure.
I would know that, yeah. Yeah, it's
Um,
definitely something that should be held off and not.
Yeah.
There's,
Yeah.
I don't believe, I walked around the building, I don't believe there's any place that's causing an issue.
No, we feel the
which is
same way.
Really fortunate,
Yeah.
very fortunate.
Just
It's
hopefully we
it's a
don't,
good,
we take those walls down, we don't
Right,
find
there may
anything.
be-
Right.
There may be some things discovered, but right at the moment,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be minimal.
yeah, yeah.
and it's minor work in those
Confined
areas.
to the
I mean,
area.
Yeah. So we wouldn't have to tent the building, so that way we could do
Huge.
that. But
Huge.
getting the roof repaired and the windows in is going to be a big thing because
Yeah.
it'll be a more efficient building, and then that'll help us with, having these furnaces not, cost an arm and a leg to heat or
Right,
heat the building. So, so that's the schedule that we talked about. It's, like I said, it is a bit aggressive, but I'm encouraged by the fact that CMP has already connected with Matt Lyle, our engineer, and that you've already got some information on the sewer connection. I don't know how long that application will take, but obviously there's other work that can start. Demolition would probably be the first thing that happens. And
Oh.
we would, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Are we going to, as far as water goes, is that something that needs to be addressed before winter?
Yes, we want to have a new water line and a sewer line installed.
Okay, so
For-
both, because when
Both.
Paul speaks, he speaks, yeah, okay.
Yeah, we'll need it for the boilers. Actually, I think we need it. We talked about wanting to have an electric panel and water and sewer to the building. That
Okay.
way, it minimizes any subsurface site work for the future,
Okay, well,
and it gets us ability for systems.
all right,
So Paul,
Yes.
because we're having the Alumni Association meeting on August the 6th, and then people are gonna be asking me questions, I can say that we are hoping that construction to start taking care of these would be hopefully the end of September.
Yeah. Why don't we say October, beginning of October?
Okay,
Because what's going to happen is demolition is going to happen first.
right?
And that should go pretty quickly, but if we can get demolition by the end of September, then yeah. So I think you'd be in a good position to say by beginning of October, we are starting our,
reconstruction,
Right, okay.
yeah. And we may end up like ordering the windows sooner rather than later.
Mhm.
We're working on those documents. I did some field measuring last time I was out to verify the brick openings. That may be something we'll have to discuss at our next meeting because you wouldn't have a GMP, but we would have to order the windows, which you would need eventually. But some windows are 20 weeks lead time right now. So,
right, right.
and they can be installed, in the winter. But it would be great to, and like I said, we're looking at other windows that might have shorter lead times. So we're talking to a few manufacturers about that. And then we'll have, like I said, we'll have this GMP pricing set by the end of August, but then after the demolition starts, we anticipate that we would then revisit the ends of the building while construction is going on to sort of finalize plans for, and because we'll be able to see more of the building. For those, for where we're going to have future openings for mechanical systems, we'll have to do that. I know we've been thinking about the other part and having a door into the basement as well, from grade so that you can access the basement, which is also where the electrical room will be. So, so there'll be updates to documents, but we feel that we can do those sort of, live, which is one of the benefits of having Nick Cristiano Day on board, to keep things moving as quickly as possible.
Yeah, okay. Good. So my question back to the water situation, because Paul was
Yep.
specifically sewer, so is there something that I or Steve or what do we have to do to help make sure that all is ready, or do you guys have that? Does Nixon?
Well, our
No.
mechanical engineer is starting to work on it. I don't have in my head at the moment where the water service is coming from. I think it's coming from Academy Road. But It may not be, and I'm not that's one of the questions that I have. But Kurt Magnuson, our mechanical plumbing engineer, is
Water district.
working on it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we might want to interface. We might want to make sure that Kurt, our plumbing engineer, and the water district start talking if he's
Right away, right.
yeah. I have to check in with him tomorrow. I've been speaking with Matt Lyle, the electrical engineer, primarily just to get the CMP
Yeah, I
stuff
just don't
going,
want
but-
that to lag. I mean, we've got Paul
No.
hot on the trails of the sewer district, but I
Yeah, we
haven't
should turn him.
been speaking to the water.
Only when we were trying
Yeah,
to find out where it was to shut it off.
Gotcha.
Out front. there.
exactly.
So that's Winthrop Water District. And,
Okay.
and then, I know who's on the board in town, but,
Okay.
so,
So, yeah, we definitely want to make those connections.
It would be
Um,
great if we could repurpose that old service, so we didn't have to get into the street.
well, exactly.
Yeah,
but
that's a possibility. And that's the questions we should start those communications now.
I think it was out front on the lawn somewhere around the old maples, from what I understood after we finally figured out where it was, but.
Because it
Yeah.
used to feed into that little underground
Yes,
space, and then that fed water to the whole rest of the
Yes.
buildings, as I
yes,
recollect.
that's where the meter was that they
That they,
took out.
so theoretically, if we could find the end of that line there,
Yeah,
we could maybe tap onto that and run it
Yeah.
into the building rather than starting over
At the beginning,
at the
yeah.
street. That
yeah.
would certainly be.
Yeah.
cost-
Yeah,
That-
and that's, yeah.
Yeah, that would save cost. I don't think it would save a lot of time, but I think we should absolutely pursue it and make sure that if we can do that, let's do it, because we want to have the building left with basically water, sewer, and electric. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
So that's where we are. I have another question about the August 6th event. When is that a full day or?
No, it's 2 to 4.
It's 2 to 4, and the 6th is a Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Will the
okay, sorry.
sign be up by then?
It should be. That was the
Oh,
goal.
good.
I'll check
Good.
with,
If you can just let Dawn know if it's not, because that would be a good thing for me to be able to tell people is make sure when you drive in, you come that way and.
Yeah, and if
Plus-
not, we can probably print out some at least 24 by 36 versions of it, so you can put it up inside.
And I printed,
yeah.
I've got small ones. I did them on, legal size
Yeah.
paper of that initial of what's gonna be on the sign, and I laminated
Yeah.
them, which is in that box.
Oh, yes.
We can also have them printed on vinyl banners, like,
Yeah.
3-foot by 4-foot banners for probably like $100 a piece. So at the printer place that we use, but we'll
We'll talk
confirm
about
all
it.
that. Yeah. I would have said that I could be there, but I'm not. I'm out of town on the 6th. But I don't know if you need anything from us or anyone. I'm happy to-
Just these dates are good for me, and if we can get one of those, the nice picture, or if the sign is up,
Yeah.
that's fabulous.
Well, we can
because-
probably
yeah.
get you at least a preliminary set of documents that
Okay,
you
That would
can
be cool.
have out, so people, if they're interested, could leaf through it and
PO
sort
Box
of
218.
PO Box 218 in Monmouth. Or I may just have them dropped off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just drop
Andrew.
off town.
Andrew lives in Augusta, so he's
okay.
not too far out of the way.
Okay, just drop them off at the town office and I can go get them.
Okay, yeah,
If you stay there for
I
a
want to,
meeting.
yeah, I'll make sure you have them by next week. I want to see how much
Perfect.
further we can get on things. And we'll probably drop them off on
Excellent.
Friday.
Yeah, it is next week. Yeah,
It's really scary.
Thank you.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah,
Not.
well, you'll
not-
have a plan for the alumni day, which I think will be good.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be awesome.
That'd be great. Thank you.
So, okay,
Great if we
So-
could get the sign and put in place.
Yeah.
okay, so that's what I had.
Okay, Randy, hello, do you have anything
Yes, I'm
that
here.
you'd like to add, sir? Can you hear us?
Yes, unmute.
Yeah, you need to unmute.
There he is.
I'm good, yeah. No, I think Paul
There you are.
nailed it. I was gonna chime in and he's doing it
just-
right, so.
Yeah. Took it and
I
ran with
listen, I listen to you, Randy.
it.
We're working
Thank you for that,
together here.
sir. No, you've done a great job. We do have a sign, I believe. I believe George had a sign made, and I do believe
Yep.
it's in our barn. I have not actually laid eyes on it because I'm not allowed to leave my corner office down here because I'm always so busy, but I can run out to the barn right now and go see if I can find it, and you guys can continue talking, and I'll be back in 5 minutes. Does that
Okay,
work?
that'd be awesome.
Yes.
That would be great.
That would be
Yeah.
good if you had that. Yeah, awesome.
I'll take a picture of it and we'll send it to Dawn, and then Dawn can hand it around and see what you guys think.
Excellent.
Awesome.
You can,
5 minutes.
and more important, we want to have it installed.
Yes, exactly.
That's another
That
thing,
would be so cool because
finding
it,
people.
yeah, yeah.
I'll see
Oh,
what I
my
can
goodness.
do.
Okay, awesome.
Great.
Um,
So,
I have a quick question. The
Sure.
propane tank, will the town own it? Will it be buried? And how big would it be?
I don't have the answer to that question right now. We need to figure that one out. I don't think it's a very large tank. But we probably would locate it above ground is my guess. It's just
Yeah.
easier
yeah,
because and we will eventually have vehicular access to the bottom where we left that concrete pad to that level. So we
Mhm.
might do something down there. We might be able to locate it underneath the stair that we're planning. So stay tuned. How's that? We'll get you some information on that.
Normally, I mean, and homeowners don't own them.
they're
Right.
They're
yeah.
owned by the.
Yeah.
Supplier.
But you
Supplier.
could
Yeah.
own it, and then you
can.
could change suppliers more easily.
Exactly, yeah. That-
Yeah,
it-
I think if you
A lot easier.
bury it,
That's-
I think if you bury, you have to own.
Yeah,
But I don't think we need to bury, and I think it probably is easier to not. We can probably conceal it somehow.
yeah,
We've got enough place to put it. So, but I will. I'll get more information on that when I talk to Kurt.
okay. So how is the insulation in the building right now? I know we're hoping to have the windows in and whatever can be done to expedite those, I think is wise.
So
To get them ordered and whatnot, but you know, when we're heating the building to what, 40? Would we? be
Yeah, probably 50 degrees, but
50? You know,
that's usually the
what,
setback.
what are we looking at for, I mean, if we're not really touching the interior and the interior is basically finished, right? I mean, it's,
Yeah, what we're
And
gonna,
then-
our plan is that in the hall, we don't want to touch the interior walls a lot because we want to try to preserve that space.
right,
In the back of the building, eventually we would build a new interior insulated wall.
yeah,
One of the things with older brick buildings that are load bearing is you want to make sure the walls breathe because they were designed to breathe. So we don't want to seal everything up.
No.
So been doing some technical research into that, and John had some ideas. So we need to talk more about that. We might do that in phase 2 because the biggest thing to do would be to insulate the roof, and that is easy to done. Over the hall, we can blow in insulation after we've got everything set, and the ceiling's intact now. So I just put myself a note to coordinate with that, but. Even without, I think keeping it to 50 degrees is not going to be, with the new windows and everything we're doing with the new roof, I think we'll be in better shape than we are now.
yeah, good, okay, that was a concern.
Yeah, but it would be even better when the phase 2 is done because the back will be all insulated and, and all of that. But we don't want to do too much now that we would have to take out or
Right, no,
tear
we don't
apart.
want to.
Undo,
Yeah,
redo.
but we
There's
also
no
want to.
sense in doing that.
Yeah, but we want to minimize the cost of keeping the building tempered.
Mhm. Okay. What were some others? Steve, did you have, from being in the meeting, did you have anything?
No, we did a lot of discussion during the meeting, and this
Yeah.
is pretty much what we talked about.
Okay.
Yeah.
To make sure that the water, the sewer, the electrical was all in there, so that when we got ready to start phase 2, when funding was available,
Right,
that would all be in there. You wouldn't have to go dig things up.
Yeah.
you know, so-
Exactly.
So what Paul is talking about is pretty much exactly what we discussed, and I think it's a great plan.
Good.
You know, given our limited budget.
Right. Now with, say, we come in at 8. So we've got about a couple $100,000 to futz around with. Is that going to give us a reasonable building that may not be our final thought for interior finishes, et cetera, but will be functional? What are your thoughts? Do you think we'll get close
well-
to that?
With the extra, if we have the 200 left, you mean?
Yeah,
One of the big costs is going to be the bathrooms.
yeah, I know.
And getting that pulled together. That's that would be you'd need the bathrooms to get the building functional. We may not have finished. This is another good question.
I'm just
think
because one of my concerns is in talking with people is they're like, there's no way. We're just gonna have it may look pretty, but it's what you're gonna be able to do is just hand over a box that we can't use.
Right.
And obviously it would be nice not to, if we can. That may be it, I don't know, but if we
Yeah.
can.
We've had some costs. It's going to be the cost of the bathrooms. We had some finishes, in some of the rooms that not going to be that much cost. I'm trying to prioritize in my head what would get us from where we're going to be to getting to a certificate of occupancy, basically.
Right.
And it's going to take bathrooms and duct and distribution of the ductwork. We may be using the existing floor, not having. I think what I would say is let's see where we end up with this list. Hopefully we can
Absolutely.
achieve it.
Yeah.
And then I think we could then look at, we could do a pricing exercise to sort of figure out, how much it would be to get the bathrooms in place, even if we didn't put all the finishes that we wanted in them, just to get bathrooms there,
Right.
that sort of thing.
Right.
And then, maybe we don't build all the rooms, we just build the bathrooms and
Mhm.
have a large room and then the hall.
Right, that is usable.
Yeah, it may be unpainted, it may be the same finishes you're looking at and not have the better lighting in the hall and all of that, but we can
We can pick away at those items, but
we can
getting-
pick away. Yeah, the bathrooms are the biggest cost, and that's what
Yeah,
you would need
yeah,
to
Yeah,
get in.
absolutely. Okay, so that's, I don't know, is that what you guys are thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did Randy send the picture?
No, he's.
Oh, there he is.
He's back. You back,
It's
Randy?
back.
Yeah.
Came back from the barn.
Yeah, I was up to the barn,
Wicked.
wicked.
At least it
yeah.
wasn't the woodshed.
No,
That's true.
I did send a picture, but
See?
it doesn't show a whole lot, Dawn.
It doesn't? Okay.
You can take a look.
But the sign is complete and it exists.
It exists, and I did peek
There we
behind
go.
cardboard, but it's all packaged up in cardboard, so I took a picture.
Perfect.
Okay.
So, all right,
So
so
it's a surprise.
Randy, I would say next step is to see how quickly we can get that installed because it needs to go in before Friday of next week.
I'll see what I can do.
Yeah. 'cause
Thank you.
Your thing's
Thank
on.
you, because you might have to go to the woodshed if you don't.
No, see,
Yes, I'm taking you out to the woodshed if we don't get that sign installed.
oh yeah, so it is there. Look at that. It's a.
It's
it is
really-
a good
it's a
size
box.
though.
It's a really pretty piece of
Nice.
Cardboard.
Nice
They
piece of
did a good
cardboard.
job wrapping it.
Yeah, lovely. I'm impressed.
Thank you, Randy. But
Yeah.
yeah, if that could be in for prior to
The
the
6th
event
would be
on the
wonderful, yeah.
6th would be awesome.
I
Next
got a
Friday, no.
hole digger.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
It
set
needs
a-
to be in on the 5th, but not the 6th.
Yeah.
set an
They're
email.
they're setting up the morning of the 6th, so they don't want any construction there. They want the sign there.
Yeah, if that's doable, Randy, that would be terrific.
It's just another way of keeping me off the wrecking ball.
Yeah, no pressure though, Randy, no pressure.
I'll send an email to the team, but just like everybody, we're understaffed right now,
Yep.
but I'll
Yep.
try. I'll give it a shot and see what operations manager says.
Yeah, see what
Thank
we
you.
can do. That'd be awesome, my friend. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, does anybody, we've gone through the whole, Doug, do you have anything?
They did a great job. All that you've done here is,
Yeah, I think they've given us some really good information and you guys are really targeting what it is that we're looking for and. Does that feel
We
right,
have-
guys?
I do have a question for the public here,
Yeah,
and maybe Chris can help too. When do we need, okay, so they're gonna start in October. In November, do we need to get the town to vote for phase two? Or would that come in the spring, or will we have to put a warrant in? So when do
no,
we?
well, phase two, if I'm not mistaken, we're shooting to still have money left over to do some of phase two
Okay,
within this budget.
Mhm.
okay,
That's why we were trying to stay under 8.
okay,
Okay, so that, but what we were focusing on, I believe I'm speaking for everybody,
Mhm.
we're focusing on making sure the exterior is done. Okay,
yes, right,
and for the, and usable and not wasteful for the winter. All right.
Exactly.
Exactly, and not, not doing things temporarily to discard them and then do the real stuff. We're trying to avoid all of that.
right.
And then with the money left over, then we focus on what we can do with the budget that we have left to gain that certificate of occupancy.
But one thing we can't do though is Chris can't continue to fundraise after we've expended all of the money that was voted. Is that what I understand? So if, for
Well,
example, somebody said, well, we'll donate this to finish this or that.
I would have to talk to Justin about how that would work. If
Okay.
we got money after that amount, how we would accept money donated to us for this specific project.
Would it go
So-
towards paying down
Yes.
what they borrowed,
Exactly,
or
so
would it be?
that's the discussion that I have to have about that, so.
No,
And I-
it's whether it pays the additional bond or if it's an additional. bond.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Exactly.
yeah.
there's an article
And not to,
in the warrant that deals with that.
That allows us to accept donations, but
But
we
it
were only
pays-
allowed, a finite amount of money for this project,
Well,
whether it be donations
Fundraising or donate it, right, yeah.
you know, the loan from the bank. So
Yeah.
if we use that amount of money, but then somebody comes in and says, look, I want to give you this for that after the fact,
Yeah.
after we've spent 1.5 or whatever it ended up being, then I'll
Yeah.
have to have that discussion with Justin on how we go about that, so.
and not to speak for Randy, but very soon we'll have another price estimate. Well,
Mhm.
after we've got documents done, which will identify our budget, but also would tell you how much the heating system is costing and how much the windows are costing. So those
Right.
could be opportunities for somebody to say, oh, I'd be happy to donate the money to pay for the windows. That's,
Right.
you'd have numbers that might help influence or your fundraising efforts, if you can do that. I understand, but
Right.
just as an aid to that process, maybe that would be helpful.
Mhm.
Right, okay.
It just doesn't give us more money though.
No, we're
Yeah.
having to
No,
work
no,
within
but-
this budget. That's why the goal is to use every dime moving for, that
Right.
brings it that 10 cents closer to
Yeah, right,
the
yeah.
certificate of occupancy. It may not be the Taj by the time we get done with this budget. We did get hit pretty hard with the economy. But with the focus being what it is, our goal is to actually achieve a certificate of occupancy.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
this phase 1 and the springtime phase 2. And at that point, maybe, and I know we have, public here, maybe at that point, by seeing what we've been able to accomplish even under some dire circumstances with the economy, it might,
I think,
create a bit of momentum to do those few extra things.
Yep. Everybody have to go back.
I got something I'd like to say. real quick.
Yes,
So I've been a part of some of these fundraising type efforts, if you're looking to
Yep.
raise money. And one thing that seems to be popular, if you've got a lot of strong alumni people that love that school. Well, maybe it won't work in this instance, but a lot of them will sell brick pavers and they engrave the name of the family.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you guys have heard of that before, but
Yep.
maybe we can incorporate that into the remodel somehow.
Mhm.
Some piece of the school that we could, that you could, that would always stay there, and it would have the family's
Yeah.
name donated, you know, they're a silver.
Yeah, I've
members
seen a
and
couple of,
gold.
Yeah, Ken sold it out.
couple of folks have done that and it's done well.
Just a thought.
Yeah,
just a-
well, there's multiple levels to that, as we've been involved with fundraising as well. And I mean, that's a great campaign for smaller donations. But then, you know, if we often look at ways to recognize donors, and larger items could be on a plaque for the building, you know, windows paid for by blah, 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 or however, lots of ways to recognize. But I think,
the,
yeah.
Monmouth Paul Academy.
No.
Write the check.
I think the first step is finding out if you can fundraise and that money can add to your budget as opposed to paying
Yeah,
the
That's a
initial
discussion
money.
that can be had, yeah.
Because, but I know you guys have been working on fundraising, but yeah, I think lots of good opportunities and, you know, to go there. But until then, we're just hardcore press here to get documents so that we can get pricing and get
Yeah.
started.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. Well, we have new
Works-
people.
Works for me.
Yeah, in the public. Are you here for this or are you waiting for the
They're-
select board?
They're usually here for the select
Oh,
board.
what's for? School board's the other night.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, we don't want the
All
school
right,
board here.
thank you.
They don't want me.
Yes.
Down the church, these stained glass windows, are they're donated or they're?
At the church.
Names on them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do, right.
They donate to them.
I suspect.
Look, you do it here too.
You
Yeah.
do donate a window.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, Ken Hill did it.
Yeah.
and, Like a window was $1,000 and then you got your little name donated.
Like we could put them under the windows like Stations of the Cross.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry,
Maybe.
No, it
Catholic boy.
makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Anybody have anything else?
No,
No?
good.
I think if we do a stage two, a phase two, we probably want to decide for next June or something.
Right, but remember Doug, what we're calling phase
Phase
one
two,
is
just the-
is spending up to 8.
Yep.
To get the building, the exterior and get it functioning,
Yeah.
you know, and complete on the outside. And then the springtime will be utilizing the remainder of the
What we
budget
have
to
for money.
bring this, to get it so it's usable on the inside, okay?
Yep.
Then as, you know, at that point, then we can decide, do we continue on? Do we ask, what do we do?
Yeah.
Or do we give our taxpayers a pause? You know, it's that time that, and I agree, we do need to have that discussion. But I think we have to see what we can do.
An important point to make is this 800,000 that you're spending basically stabilizes and restores the building.
Right,
So it prevents any further decay that's happened by the building being vacant.
Right.
And it also gets it prepared for whatever use you want. So it's a big step to do that because you've got a building now that's got leaky roof and, you know, old windows and things, and you're going to end up with a building that has, you know, new roof, new windows, new mechanical system, you know, all of that.
Right.
So you'll be well positioned for the future.
Mhm.
And that's an important step. It's not necessarily a glamorous one because, you know, who loves, you know, paying for a new roof, but it's clearly an important step because that stops deterioration of this cherished
Right.
building.
right. And we still have some budget to try to reach that goal of it.
Yes,
being more than
exactly.
just, you know, pretty on the outside, so.
Yep.
Yeah, I know, we're shooting for, what is it, mega, not
At a billion.
mega millions?
Mega millions, yeah.
Yeah, the
This time
drawing's
we
Friday.
fell by 6
Hey,
numbers.
if I win, I'll throw the money in.
Oh,
It will
yeah.
be-
Okay.
I gotta
A
buy
lot
my
of people
ticket
heard
though,
you.
don't I?
Yeah, we've got a lot of witnesses here, Paul. All right,
But
are we all set? Well, thank you for the overview. Randy, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Oh, did he log out? Yeah.
Somewhere.
Sarah, thank you.
All right.
Anybody else? Motion to.
I move we adjourn.
I'll
Something
second.
like that, I'm breaking up for a second. Thank you,
Yeah.
guys.
Thank
Great
you,
job.
thank you.
Thank
Randy.
you.
All in
All
favor?
right, have a great night. We'll see you soon. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
sir.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.